welcome back. This is a new episode from Train Fanatic. As you see, I'm playing with my trains a bit, and I've been doing some track laying. I'm also still tinkering a bit with my turnouts that you see here, and well, I can drive them now, so I'm very pleased with that. And I will let you in on a little secret today, because as you can see here, I'm driving 3-rail. Now the third rail in the middle is there to pick up current, and it consists of an endless row of pickup points. We call them point contacts, or PUKOs, pointcontacts. And it's not easy to hide them in a little bit of a subtle way. I know there's 3-rail track for sale, but it doesn't look like I want to use it on my layout. So I wanted to use code 83 track, and there's no third rail for that, so I have to make it myself. There's things you can buy commercially, but they are quite expensive and the delivery times are enormous, so I thought I'd give it a go and try it myself. And well, it works, so I'm happy. I of course also wired the turnouts with a third rail, as you can see here. And today I'm going to show you how I did that. Also, you get a little bit of an idea of the layout. So as you can see here, I've made a sort of removable piece. I can take it out, and on this I will build a forest of spruce trees with all those dead branches that you have on spruce trees. They're green in the top, as you see. And on the outside of the forest, of course, the branches go all the way to the bottom. And this way I'm sort of obscuring the entrance to my layout. As you see, this is my workbench, and behind the workbench there will be some staging. So from the staging yard onto the main layout, there's of course a hole in the backdrop, and this way I can obscure that. Now here's the old boiler house. To the left of that I will make a chimney, and of course I will play around a little bit with the backdrop, maybe make a sort of forest on it, paint some hills on it, so that will be nice. And also there's a road here that of course will have a road crossing and go to the boiler house. To the right of the boiler house I will build a paper mill, and even more to the right there will be a sawmill. And in front of the tracks, let's remove this, on front of the tracks there will be a station with a platform on this side and a station building and all. So yeah, it's getting a little bit of shape now, and I'm quite happy with that. But as I said, today we're going to talk about 3-rail and how I made that. So let's get to the workbench. So first of all, I'm going to make an end tie, which is a double tie. I will solder the rail onto this tie and solder the next rail onto the tie again. And this way I avoid ugly rail joiners. So they have to be 2. I've cut out a piece of copper that is wide enough for 2 tracks, for 2 ties I mean. And now I'm scraping in. There you go. So now it's 2 ties. So a little bit of soldering paste. So I'm heating it up, applying the solder, let it melt, push the rail in, let go. And that's an unfirm joint. I'll solder the point contacts that I'll make onto this. So I'll just have to solder a red wire to this, which is the current for the point contacts in the middle. And I will solder a brown wire to this side for the mass, and that's all I have to do. And then all of this track at once is wired. So how do I make these point contacts? Well, I've made this little jig and I'll show you how. I just cut off a piece of wire. This is 0.2 millimeter copper wire, and I'll just start bending it. So I'll push this one down, up, that's one point contact, down, that's the second point contact, down, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there we go. Yep. Let me show you. So there we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there we go. And now it's a matter of placing them in the middle. And with a solder iron, I'll just melt them into the ties. There you go, that's one. And I'm not measuring this exactly, I'm just eyeballing it. It needs to be in the middle. And that's good enough for me. So now then, this is what it looks like. And now I'll start adjusting all those little point contacts. So this is a 3-rail, it's also AC, alternating current, which means I have a pickup shoe on the bottom of every locomotive, and this brings current to the motor, and the current flows through the wheels, through the track, back to the mass, as we call it, and it will drive just fine. So let me finish this piece of track and then let's test it. Now let's do a turnout. You can understand that a turnout has higher point contacts, as it is necessary to lift the pickup shoe over the crossing track here, you see. So I have to make higher point contacts here, which means that I need higher loops in my jig. Now, I've done that by just taping a few strips of plastic on my jig, so it is a little bit higher than I did previously on the longer flex tracks. So let's do the first bit. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops, 5 point contacts. So let's make them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's install them. First I have to find the middle. So let's do some Now let's prepare this for soldering. So I'm applying a little bit of soldering grease. I'm using 60-40 soldering tin here with a little bit of soldering grease to make it flow better. So it doesn't have to be very sharp, and mostly the first one I attach I do in the plastic strip. So I will just sink it into the plastic tie and then it's sort of fixed. Let's try that with this one as well. See, so it's fixed. Now then I can make this one. Let me so yeah, let's sink this one in as well a little bit. So there we are. And now I adjust them using 2 screwdrivers. I can make them go down a little bit. I don't want them too high here. And I want them equally high everywhere. So that is one of the things that I want. So let's align them a little bit. Now I'll start from this side. No, let's do the straight one first. This side. And then for that I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. So, yeah. Next up I have to mark where I want the point contacts. You can understand that this is all in the center, but here it would touch this rail, and that would mean a shortcut between the power supply and the mass. So we would have a shortcut. Also, when wheels are going through this, you do not want the wheels to touch the point contacts, so there has to be some space between it. So on both sides I need the point contacts to be at least 2 millimeters off the rails, and they have to stick out a little bit above the rails because they have to lift the pickup shoe of the locomotive over the rails and then down again to the end. So I've got a string of 12 point contacts here, newly bent, and let's push them in. Hopefully the autofocus will help me a bit here. So there we are. Now just tack in the first one. The second one, and so on. Now I'm doing them a little bit deeper here than on the previous one. Because they have to stick out above the rails, yeah? Now the trick is, we want the point contacts to just be visible above the rails. This is almost right, but not quite. It needs to be a little bit higher, but not too much. When I make the point contacts a little bit too high, then a relatively light or small locomotive like this would be pushed up a little bit, and it loses contact with the rails, which would be a bad thing because the train wouldn't drive as smooth then, since it hasn't got any mass, so it would simply stop. So we don't want that. On the other hand, of course, we want it high enough so that the pickup shoe passes safely over the rails, because if the pickup shoe touches the rails, we have a shortcut. So you see that it's quite a fine balance between not too high, not too low. Now another thing we can see now is that if the train passes like this, the wheels shouldn't touch the point contacts. So they're nice and free now, which is a good thing. They should even be a little bit closer. I have to bend it a little. So this one doesn't touch, and this one doesn't touch either. So that's a good thing.